Hey traders, David Frost, My Strategic Forecast. You're here for another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis. Today is Wednesday, January 15, 2025. We're looking at a daily chart of the SPY or Spider, which is the proxy for the S&P 500. What do we have on the docket today? First and foremost, we had a big-time gap up situation. She traded all the way up basically into the 50-period moving average on the daily chart. The ES finished up over 105 points today. SPX was up over 107 points. SPY was up $10.50, a 1.8% up day. Big time up day for Team S&P. This morning, we had the CPI data shuffle. She took the information and ran with it. Remember what we've been talking about the whole time. If I flip over to the weekly chart, we've been discussing pullbacks in an uptrend are normal garden variety behavior until they're not. So far, this was nothing other than a pullback in a continuing uptrend. There will be some upcoming overhead resistance. Now, I'm going to give you something pretty slick. Check this out. We'll see what happens after the fact. This pivot low is 575.35. That's this candle low right here. It's an important low, 575.35. So let's bring over the magic calculator and let's see what that does. So if we plug in 575.35, you see the results here. We'll focus in on the one that's closest to current price. It's 599.59. So now let's go see where 599.59 puts the market. Now, interestingly enough, you could see it coincides with this pivot high right here. So we'll see this pivot high here. That exact price, the high is 599.70, just 11 cents above the magic calculator number. Now, why is that important? Well, for two reasons, and probably some more to boot, but two reasons right now. She's putting in or can put in some lower highs. So you have highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, and she's setting up for a potential lower high. Okay, fair enough. Here is a big time breakdown candle. The high is 597.75. Now, what if they got above that high of the big time breakup candle, and let's add in sooner than later, not 2 weeks from now after eating time off the clock and recocking the gun and all that stuff. I'm talking about now, like Thursday, Friday type stuff, maybe even stretched into Monday. You're going to have a lot of overhead resistance at a big time breakdown candle high where the market's been putting in lower highs. That's item number one. And then just above, you have an important pivot high where Mrs. Market tried to recover, tried to recapture the moving averages, or at least the last one in the line of defense, the 20. She couldn't do it, collapsed back down, coming back to retest the most recent breakdown area. Those two things are important. Plus, to boot, you have a magic calculator number up there. Pretty interesting stuff, I would say. All this stuff is taught in the class, MSF Masterclass. The Masterclass comes with the calculator. You're taught how to use the calculator. The whole thing is a home run. You know what else is a home run? I'll tell you. About the Lazy Swing Trader Automagical Algo System. So we had three, not one, not two, but three more trades hit profit targets today. Now let's go back to the S&P because let's explain this real quick before we get to Amgen. So the S&P on the way up, we're shorting the tape. The Lazy Swing Trader algorithm is shorting the tape. Magic algorithm, I should say. As the market's coming down, it's loading up on the longs, and all of a sudden this week, here we have what's called in the trading parlance a bonanza. We have 5 profit targets hit already this week through Wednesday. How you doing? So Amgen picks up at 255.89. Lazy Swing Trader Automagical Algo System. Today was the second exit target at 272.50 on the nose. The high of day, 272.82, and a pullback How does she know that? She's smart. Here's another one. How about Home Depot? Entry 387.20, exit 407 today, and the pullback. And as you can see, 407 was in fact overhead resistance. How does she know? She's smart. Lazy swing trader automagical algo system. That was the second profit target hit today. About JPM, another candidate. 236.98 entry, 250.40 profit target taken this morning. Just like all the others, is now a risk-free, emotionless trade with higher profit targets. This is the way you make money. Lazy swing trader, automagical algo system. Traders get to see a watch list of what's coming next, what's closest to entry targets. You get an email and text alert when an entry target is hit. You get the stops. You get the profit targets. You get the open trade list. You get the closed trade list. You get everything you need to be a swing trader. And by the way, I'll give you this deal. It lasts for 24 hours. You got to email me to get it. You buy the annual plan, not if you bought it 6 months ago. You buy it today. We'll call it today, tomorrow. I'll give you 2 months of the magic calculator on the house. It'll blow your mind when you start to use that. Annual plan, lazy swing trader, automagical algo system. Give you 2 months to the calculator. That's a $300 value. How you doing? What happened inside the numbers today? Did we have the numbers correct? Well, they had a goose operation after the CPI data, so we don't need the real early stuff. And here's what we have. What's the scoop now? 9:15. We got a handle on things. 591.05 is a target and overhead resistance. And what you'll see later is that 591.05 becomes our pivot. Right of the vertical is today's activity, and you can see 591.05 was in fact important, and yes, it did become our pivot from an inside the numbers and live room perspective. If she's above on candle closes, 591.05, it will open the door for the next leg higher toward what? 593.60. The blue line above is your 593.60. We'll issue that. Funny how that works. The next number was a target, and it was, in fact, overhead resistance. Pause the video. Read the notes. Go back to the chart. Double check the work. The numbers repeat. It's all the same. Everything you need is in here each and every day to find success inside the numbers. The live room with the S&P, the other markets we cover. We have a whole list of markets down here. There's a dozen markets we cover. Check the numbers. We have plenty of traders finding success inside the numbers and in the live room. What's going on over in Camp IWM? 2% up day. They were higher earlier, didn't finish on the highs, but it's still a 2% up day nonetheless. They're hovering right around the 100 period moving average. They're running a test. Remember what we said about the spiders? They're already running a test of the next big time breakdown candle high. In the sequence, they got not to the high, but they got in the vicinity of the high today. That counts for information that we need to know. What about the folks down at the transportation department? I think you'll find this interesting. They spiked the big time breakdown candle high, but closed back inside of it. Doesn't mean they will or won't do it, meaning close above it tomorrow. It's just interesting from a first time, best time perspective. Traders in the live room will know this well. I say it every single day. First time, best time, a support area, a resistance area, a resistance number, support number. Either way, first time, best time, breakdown candle high, first time up for a test, best time for a reaction of that test. Funny how that works, isn't it? Still of note, we have decreasing volume in the transports, little bit of an uptick today on volume in the SPY, not too much, not outstanding volume, just an uptick in volume. We'll put that as a small puzzle piece. We'll put it on the corner of the table. What about the Q people? Big up day, 2.3% for the Q people. above the 50-period moving average, working on the 20 moving average, which is the last moving average in the line of defense. You have a couple of trend line situations here for the Q people. You're lining up the pivot high with the next important number or pivot, and that brings you where today's high ran into. Or you can use this pivot high here, and this is part art form, part science, part art form, part science. Using that pivot, that brings you up to another lower high potential situation. Both numbers could have meaning. Again, using and drawing trend lines is part art form, part science. This is another one of those things taught in depth in the MSF Masterclass series. You match up a trend line with an important calculator number with 2 or 3 other things, and what do you have? You have the makings of a trade on your hands. What about the XLF? First order of business was to crack the code of this breakdown candle high. We left the line on there on purpose. You see what's going on here. Next up is $49.90. We're calling it $50 for argument's sake. By the way, little housekeeping item I forgot to mention already today, mentioned it yesterday, which is the market will be closed next Monday for Martin Luther King Day, MLK Day, by the way. Net on the XLF, she got above, stayed above, and closed above the big time breakdown candle high. That breaks the chain. Unless she recaptures it tomorrow, next order of business, $49.90 / $50. About Smash Mouth. First we had a false breakout, then we had a false breakdown. She's back above all the moving averages, therefore we'll go with the trend is your friend. And while she's back above all the moving averages, she's basically at or above the apex of said triangle. Look at it from a weekly chart perspective. False breakout last week, false breakdown this week. Let's see where she closes the week. I think it's uber important. Have I told you how much I appreciate each and every one of you? Without you, these videos are not possible. That is true and accurate information. We're pulling the ripcord here today. I'm David Frost, My Strategic Forecast. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Common Sense Market Analysis.